Well, good morning and welcome to our DMAC Ask a Professional Business Entrepreneur event. Thank you all for being here today. We are excited to have Lindsay Foss with us. And really our hope with these events is that we're linking your education and your career interests to professionals right here in Iowa. So before we get started, I just want to say a quick hello as your host. My name is Jill Hoyk. I work a part of the work-based learning team here at DMAC. And so again, welcome and thank you for tuning in. I would also like to mention that we do have a business pathway here at DMAC as far as a program you can study. It encompasses a lot of different areas. We have business administration, marketing, management, and we even have a fashion and interior design program too as well. And so that's for students who want to come with us and go out into the workforce, and then also having opportunities for students to begin with us and continue their education at a four-year college or university too as well. So I will leave some of those pathway links and more information in the chat for those of you who are interested. But I would love to introduce our professional for today. Like I mentioned, we have Lindsay Foss with us, and Lindsay is a local business entrepreneur and owner of Real Deals Ankeny. And again, I want to encourage those of you who are listening in to ask Lindsay any questions, but I will kind of start us off. And Lindsay, can you just kind of give us a little bit of a background of how you got to where you are today? Like, it was your first job kind of something that was in regards to this, and then it kind of sparked some interest. And then, when you went to school, what did you get your degree in, and just kind of your career journey?
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me, and thanks so much to everybody who is tuning in. As Jill mentioned, my name is Lindsay Foss. We own Real Deals here in Ankeny, which is a home decor and women's clothing boutique. So think candles and candlesticks and clocks, and as well as women's clothes, shoes, hats, gifts, those good kind of things. So I have zero background in retail, and I went to school at Iowa State for journalism and event planning, and got a lot of background in marketing and writing. And, if I think back to myself in school with regards to how journalism ties in with retail, it seems to be on really opposite ends of the spectrum, but I'm finding that I am using all of those skills in addition to a lot of business skills and programs and math all the time. As much as I thought I didn't need math in whatever career path I chose. That's why I chose journalism. Okay. So I worked in agriculture for several years prior to opening Real Deals, and really wanted to deviate from that agricultural world because I just always had a lot of passion over decorating. And I thought that I came across Real Deals, which is a franchise. And I thought this would be a way to put some of my marketing skills into practice with regards to marketing products and owning my own business into practice with something that I really love, which is decorating women's clothing, things of that nature. So I joined the franchise almost 4 years ago now. And what that means with a franchise is that our corporate team is out on the West Coast, and we bought into the name. And with that comes relationships with the vendors, and they assist us with some marketing materials. But otherwise, it's pretty much being our own business owners and making decisions on the products that we're bringing into our store, as well as how we're going to price them. And it's up to us to unbox, price, assemble products, put them in our store, and merchandise or decorate with those items to kind of really create a visual for our customers and how they may be able to use those in their homes, and then, ultimately sell them. So we have a pretty unique business model here in that we are just open to the public on Thursdays through Saturdays, very much here on the quote unquote off days. And I'll kind of give you a little walking tour around the shop of what that looks like, some of the behind the scenes look that goes on. But part of that business model and part of what attracted me to the Real Deals philosophy in the first place is creating that sense of urgency for customers to come in on those open days. So as opposed to spreading customers out across 6 or 7 days open for business, we're just open those 3 days. So we kind of really try to create that environment that you want to get in, kind of create that FOMO, if you will, that you want to get in here while we're open. And things also sell really quickly. And we try to bring new products in and create new displays every week. So you see something you like, you better hustle in and grab it while you can. So that's kind of the environment that we've created, while also trying to really bring in products and get to know our customers on a really personal level. And that's part of why we just love being part of this Ankeny community, because we've gotten to know so many customers and organizations and are really able to tailor the products that we bring in based around their tastes. So long story long, I have little to no retail background prior to opening this shop, but have been able to tap into my education, primarily our marketing and event planning, to be able to help sell these products, which is ultimately what we're looking to do at the end of the day.
Yes, thank you for that overview. That's very helpful. And I know you kind of mentioned that you're open to the public certain days, and the off days you're kind of working in the shop. Can you kind of, and maybe this is where some of the tour comes into play, but can you kind of talk us through, I know there's not really a typical day, but when you're on the days that you're in the shop, kind of getting it prepared, can you walk us through a typical day with that? And then maybe a typical day of when you're open to the public?
Yes, absolutely. And I think kind of the cliche response is that there's no typical day, right? I mean, there's curveballs all the time. Right now, a big struggle that the retail industry and a lot of industries are facing is the supply chain is so backlogged. So there are products that I ordered back in January that we are anxiously awaiting to get into our shop. So if you or your parents maybe have ordered furniture and it's taking 6 months to a year, it's because things are just really wonky right now. And it's very hard to get products to us. And we try to order made in the USA products whenever possible and support other local business owners. But at the end of the day, we do need to source from a variety of different places. And so it has made the typical day not so typical, because we just don't know what to expect in terms of when we're going to be receiving product. But that said, we are here, as I said, on the off days, and I'll kind of give a little bit of a walking tour. Technology, not my strong suit here. So take your tech classes, but a camera. So this is a little behind the scenes look at the shop. So we have a variety of products, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like when these products come in. And maybe we will actually start out there, because the shop is very dismantled until we open on a Thursday. But we receive on average about probably 10 pallets a week of home decor. So I will walk out here to our storage facility, and my husband is pricing probably some ornaments right about now, and probably covered in glitter too. 'Tis the season. So this is what products look like when they come into our shop. And so they're palletized, and in these boxes that need to be opened, everything comes in bubble wrap. And then we need to, as Jared is doing here, with help of Cheez-Its, Diet Coke, pricing our products. So, and this is something that we determine the price point, and our name is Real Deals. So we try to serve up really affordable home decor pieces, and then we add them over to a storage unit. And this is a behind the scenes look at where our product goes until it is ready to be put in the store. So we actually have a couple of these storage units, and this is part of why we can just be open the 3 days a week. So these are all pallets that came yesterday, and everything that needs to be unboxed. So this is our holiday storage units. So everything gets opened, sometimes assembled, priced, and then we bring it out here until we're ready to bring it into the store. So then from a merchandising perspective, we load up these goodies and we'll make the trek back. Lots of cardboard involved, lots of bubble wrap, lots of garbage as we're walking back towards the shop here. So as we bin things up, and I suppose I could flip things back around. This is where the not being tech savvy comes into play. So we bin everything up. That creates kind of a coordinated collection. And then we bring it in to ultimately create a display. And so this is where we would have coordinated pieces so the end customer can visualize what this will look like in his or her home. And so we've got these displays all throughout the shop. So this is our home decor side, and it's a winter wonderland in here right now with lots of Christmas. So this is what it starts out as, usually a bunch of furniture pieces that are all just stacked up, and then it ultimately becomes a display full of product. So that is on the home decor side. And then on the clothing side, we also get product in each and every week, and we pull together outfits. Taylor is working hard in our boutique over here to pull together outfits to create a look, a collection, a coordinated ensemble for customers as well. So flip things back around. It takes a village. We've got 8 part-time employees, most of which are either educators, stay-at-home moms, or nurses who are working in here nights and weekends as well to help get this shop pulled together. But on a typical week, I would say the average work period would be this time of year. The holidays is our busiest season. And I would say as a business owner, you're giving up that 8 to 5 corporate life to work 24/7. So it's always in the back of your mind, constantly ordering, organizing, merchandising, marketing our shop. But in terms of true hours spent working on or in the shop, I would say it's probably about 70 hours this time of year. Closer as things die down, it doesn't really appear that we ever have a slow period anymore. But as things die down, that looks more like a 50-hour work week in terms of time actually in the shop, time working on the shop and planning out our marketing and placing orders, I would say is about 10 hours a week as well in work from home. So it's a labor of love, and we do love it, but I wanted to open a store with lots of flexibility for our family. I've got a 2 and 4-year-old at home, and so the work-life balance is very much something that we're working towards all the time. We do stay very, very busy here, and it's because we love it, and it is a passion. And while it doesn't always feel like work, there are most definitely sometimes that it does. So we love this job, but in terms of the hours that it takes is something that I was not prepared for becoming an entrepreneur. So that is just a word to the wise if you're interested in your own business someday.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. I am blown away by all of that you just showed us. So thank you for taking us around your warehouse and a little bit around your shop, and especially on a day that, you're not open to the public, and you will be tomorrow, and what that looks like and all that goes into it. One question just with you walking around made me think, so when you're choosing the items that you're going to bring to your store, do you go to places, fly out to places, or is it something that you choose online through a catalog? I mean, I know you have lots of different vendors that are coming in. So how do you go about that, I guess?
That's a great question. For the home decor side of things, they have what's called markets, and we'll either go to Las Vegas or Atlanta, and probably 3 times throughout the year, and hand select the pieces that are coming into our shop. And I look at really quality pieces that are also trendy and affordable. And those are kind of my three pillars. And if they check all those boxes, then we'll bring them into the shop. So we do go several times throughout the year, and really need to be thinking in the retail world 6 to 12 months in advance. So for example, when placing all of our holiday decor, I do so in January, so that all of this past Christmas season, as much as I hate to look at glitter again, it's fresh in my mind what products and trends were really successful. So that is something that was really exciting to me as becoming a business owner. I saw these other small business owners and fellow Real Deals franchisees who were being able to go on these fun buying trips. And while it is very much fun to travel and basically become a professional shopper for our customers' behalf, it's also a lot of time and money management to create a budget and determine how we want to best allocate those dollars. I run a lot of reports to see which vendors perform the best for us. How quickly does that inventory turn over in our shop for each respective vendor? And that's what helps guide my buying decisions. I so wish that it could be, oh, these ornaments are cute and I want to bring those into the shop for this holiday season. While there is a bit of that, I also need to look at how quickly did this vendor move for us last year. And I'll be honest, it's been very trying as a business owner in pandemic times, and for all industries, it's been an incredibly challenging year. But as a business owner, to navigate what products to carry, are we going to be open, what do the next 3, 6, 12 months look like for business? There's been a lot of unknowns, and I hate that the pandemic has happened, but I'm glad that I experienced some of that as a business owner pretty young in my career, to be able to understand that, the economy is going to go up and it's going to go down, and the supply chain is going to be running full steam ahead and it's going to experience some major delays. And so those are some challenges that we're facing right now with the cost of goods skyrocketing. So I wish that, if I were to go back to school, I would take some supply chain classes if I knew that I was going to have a future in retail, just to be able to better understand some of the idiosyncrasies in terms of how does something get from a warehouse where it's produced ultimately to our shop and to the end consumer. So that is a big challenge, continues to be a big challenge, but something that we're working through every day. And a lot of this is just on the job training. And I feel that that's the case for a lot of industries, but especially in the crazy world of retail, that definitely seems to be the case.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned, I was going to ask you some of the challenges, so thank you for touching on those. One question, kind of going back to COVID related, when you have a storefront, right, like that, right, and that's kind of the bulk of where your customers come. Did you always have that online presence, or was that something that you pivoted during COVID? I mean, did you have the online ordering prior to COVID, or was that something that you pivoted for COVID and now are continuing on to as well? Because having a storefront and then an online present just kind of brings almost two dynamics to your business too as well. So can you speak a little bit about the online presence too, and how that works?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, Jill. And for those of you tuning in or catching the recording, we have our physical brick and mortar store and had zero online presence. Aside from a Facebook or Instagram pages to be able to highlight our products, we had no online sales platform. And it was something that I knew our business needed, but I thought I'd get some swimming lessons on how to do it first, instead of jumping off the high dive and trying to figure out how to swim as we go here, which was very much the case when we had kind of heard these whisperings of COVID-19. And then all of a sudden it seemed like the very next week, our shop was closed for 2 weeks the 6 weeks to ultimately 10 weeks, our store was closed and then open in a very limited capacity. So we did a kind of an online auction style. And what that looks like is, people were commenting sold and an item number on a product. And then we would, on the back end, see how to fulfill those orders. And it was something I had no experience in whatsoever. But our biggest value in our store is that we always want to meet customers where we're at and where they're at, and also to provide value instead of just products. So online sales really came in handy for a couple of reasons. One, it was a way to see our customers. They were watching us on Facebook and able to get some interaction, a little sense of normalcy in some retail therapy, if you will. And we were able to provide some value too. We were able to provide some decorating advice or outfit styling advice, so much more than what you can receive. I love Target probably more than anybody else in the history of ever, but I don't really receive some customer service from Target employees in terms of how should I style this tray in my home, or what jacket would you pair with this for family pictures. It was a really interactive way to connect with our customers and also provide a little bit of value in how is this product going to be applicable in your home. And it's going to be fashionable and functional, and it's not going to be at a cost that breaks the bank. So those pillars can help carry us through the pandemic. Honestly, that thanks to those online platforms, our business boomed. We didn't experience supply chain issues just yet. So we were continuing to receive product throughout the pandemic, and in some ways busier than ever. We were kind of doing some virtual design consultations where Jill would send us a picture of her living room and say, what would you do in this space? And we were receiving upwards of 150 a week from customers wanting decorating help. And I'm like, I don't know that we need to open our doors again. I think we're doing just fine online. But kind of coming back to that value of just wanting to connect with customers, we were so anxious to be able to get our doors back opened again. And it's been a challenging year of how to navigate. Are we open? Are we not? Are we, encouraging masks? Are we not? And so we've had to make a lot of really tough decisions as business owners in navigating the pandemic, but really have just been guided by customer feedback the entire way. So we continue to do online sales because there are customers who don't feel comfortable in shopping out and about just yet, or maybe just kind of became accustomed to that lifestyle of shopping online, doing curbside pickups. And I think just the shopping mindset has changed quite a bit too. So we want to continue to provide that service to those customers. But for those who really crave the in-store experience, tangibly picking out gifts or an outfit, we want to offer that to our customers too. So I, again, hate the pandemic for so many ways, and I know so many others do too, but appreciate it from the business perspective of it forced us to pivot our way of thinking, pivot the way we were doing business, and to just dive in with really no looking back. And I feel like that's needed to be our philosophy with the business from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that you kind of nailed it as far as on the business side of stuff, right? You will constantly be thrown challenges. I mean, the pandemic is one that no one really saw coming, but you have to make changes, and because you are the owner of that business and you have to figure out a way. So thank you for touching on that. We did have a message in the chat. The supply chain education was very interesting. Thank you. Curious how you manage staff and employees, when to bring on more staff or, vice versa. It seems like the holiday season, some businesses hire on more staff to help with that flow. How do you manage your staff and employees? And is there certain times of years or certain months that you have more employees, or is it pretty stagnant throughout?
Yeah. have a recent, and I think that's a great question, because employee management and retention are huge goals for our family owned business, and our teammates have become like our friends and family. So we're so fortunate to have a lot of the girls with us from the very beginning. And as I said, most have another full-time position, given that we're open Thursdays through Saturdays. In terms of working in the shop, we kind of try and schedule gals so that they can be in here a few times a month. But with regards to managing, what does that employee number look like? When do we bring more on? We really just go off of a guttural feeling for what is a good balance for our family. And so we have 8 part-time employees, which is the most we've ever had. Generally, we run about 5 this time of year. However, we're gearing up for our really busy season. And by having more employees, it allows my husband and I more time at home with our young kids. And our employees also don't experience that burnout quite so much. We're open on Saturdays. And so we all want our Saturdays during football season and the holidays and all of those fun things. So we really try to strike the right balance so that we know how our employees are feeling, that we do a gut check and say, how are we managing our family time in addition to the shop time? And that's why we wanted to be business owners, right? So we gauge success. I feel like our society is so success driven, and we think of that in terms of numbers and profit. And while those things are all very important too, as small business owners, as a family owned business, we really look at success in terms of having that flexibility to be with our family. So from that perspective, we have brought on additional employees. We will continue to keep them on after the holiday season as well. It might just be, hours will be adjusted accordingly based on the workload. So I wish that there was some formula that we looked at based on X amount of sales. We have X amount of employees, but we want our our employees to feel, that the shop is as much theirs as it is ours. So we bring them on, not just for the holidays, but I think it really takes a full year of working in here to understand the different seasons, understanding the pace. Things do move very quickly. And there's a lot that our customers expect from us, especially just being open 3 days a week. We put a high standard on making sure the shop is full, that we have new displays and new product each week. And our employees understand that too. They take as much pride in it as we do. So they are with us all year round.
That's awesome. Thank you for answering that. That's great. Well, in respect of time, Lindsay, because I know you have your shop opening tomorrow, and I saw a lot of boxes and things that need to be put in their spots. I just want to wrap up with one last question for you. What kind of preparation or advice would you recommend, to maybe high school students or college students that are thinking about being a business entrepreneur? What are things that you would advise them to do since they're younger? And is there things that they can be doing now? You kind of touched on some of them, but what advice would you have for them?
I think that my marketing classes served me very well in the variety of roles and industries I have worked in outside of retail, in agriculture and public relations. That marketing ability has really served me well. Being really comfortable with social media is huge too. And I know that that's very much ingrained in our culture, but to be able to utilize those tools from a business perspective has been huge. To be able to be really savvy in the Google suite of programs is something that I did take a training on, to be more versed in the capabilities within Excel and even Google Word and different things that can be definitely your best friend and something that's really universal within any industry. So from a courses perspective, those are some areas that have really worked to my advantage. In terms of just life in general, I knew that I loved decorating. I knew I loved home decor. And I thought, what better industry to work in than something that I'm passionate about outside of work too? And I have such an easier job selling something that I love and I believe in these products, and kind of following my gut with what am I truly passionate about here, and how can I make a career out of it ultimately? So those are some things. And I guess one final note is just really tapping into your connections, your teachers that you have access to, your clubs, your fellow classmates, and how can you utilize those? It's a very kind of crazy strand of events that took me from my last position to owning this shop. But along the way, it was a series of connections that I had made and stayed in touch with to ultimately bring me here. And I feel so fortunate for the variety of connections that we've been able to make along the way. And I don't know what that's going to lead to 5, 10, 15 years from now, but I am so excited to be able to maintain those relationships. And I think that's ultimately what serves you so well.
Oh my goodness, you did such a great job on that. I think what you're trying to say is to young students and students that are in college and in high school is follow your passion and the rest will kind of figure itself out, right? You kind of got to go where you're passionate about and what you love, and then figure it out as you go. You're not going to have all the answers. It's just kind of taking a leap of faith sometimes, isn't it? So thank you, Lindsay, so much. And thank you for everybody who tuned in today or that's watching the recording. I truly appreciate it. And with that, we will end our DMACC Career Discovery event. Thank you all.
Thanks so much for having me.